che comunque il calcio è imprevedibile e le cose non sono mai scontate, quindi è anche la bellezza, no, di questo sport.
Io rappresentavo per questa squadra, era quello che non mollava mai, quello che doveva fare stare sempre su il morale, ma io mi ci trovavo bene perché sono sempre stato uno che mi piaceva dare fuoco ai miei compagni, caricarli prima delle partite.
Il mio sogno si è avverato, è uno dei sogni dei bambini, di tanti bambini.
È un qualcosa per la gente che riusciamo a fare diventare matti, riusciamo a fare diventare felici e contenti.
Con questa maglia devo veramente fare una performance diversa perché sto rappresentando uno dei club più grandi al mondo.
Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? We're back with another episode of Linistas 360. I hope everyone is doing all right, and we already have quite an early bird to join us. Mr. Kim, how are you doing? And joined by the amazing co-host, Labgorilla. How are you doing?
How you doing, mate? Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I mean, in the UK, it's 7:43 in the morning, so again, early bird. I really should be, I think Carmelo was saying, I should be a baker or something to be making bread at this time or something. I'm good, man.
Golfer, right? You guys go out in the morning, right?
I like to be, I'm like more of a, golfers, I get up early in the morning, yes. But I'm a fair weather golfer, so I don't usually play when the weather's awful. And at the moment, we got 40-mile-an-hour winds outside, remnants of a storm. So it's not really golfing weather because you'd hit the ball and it would fly wherever it wants. And I don't do that.
Okay, maybe we need to trade weather. It's quite warm here in Malaysia, all the way on the other side of the world. Sunny days, 2 sunny days, but we're expecting the monsoon in a few weeks.
Oh, yeah, you're going to get it seriously. Yeah, we're getting remnants of some weird hurricanes from the east coast of the US. That's usually what happens is they travel up and then they hit the UK a few days later. So after they've lost a lot of energy. So, hey, listen, we've done a bit of a weather update.
But we need to know the weather, don't we? Because you could say it's been a sunny patch if you're a Milan fan, but and we've got to enjoy it.
Yes, it has been a sunny patch. You've got to enjoy it, and we'll discuss the point of enjoying it later on, Husni. Yeah. So yeah, let's get going, dude, because we've got a hell of a lot to cover again. Shane sends his apologies. He is probably upside down somewhere in France.
Yeah. So for those who are watching us or hearing us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, Shane, or last week known as Shanus, isn't able to join us today because he's having a good time. So we're definitely not going to get in the way of that good time, and we'll let him recharge a little bit. But we expect a fully energized Shane next week, right, John?
Yeah, absolutely. Fully energized Shane. And I think we're going on an international break after this one. So it's a bit of a break, which to some is actually going to be a good thing. I think for me, it's going to be a good thing to have a bit of a break.
Yeah, man, international football. But yeah, we'll get into that, I guess, later.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's begin, dude. Right, perfect setup already. So let's go here. So we're starting with a match we did not review because it occurred at 7:45 p.m. UK time last Sunday. Is our victory over Napoli? Husni, did you watch the whole game live?
Not only did I watch the replay, so I didn't catch it live. I watched the replay of the entire game. I watched the extended highlights, and I watched the standard highlights.
Wow, mate, that's you really wanted to enjoy it, eh?
I did, and you got to admit, this result to some wasn't unexpected, but you really have to enjoy the fact that we actually got it.
So two things about this. I think we did a match preview and said the problem with Napoli is going to be at the back. They've got a lot of injuries, and Di Lorenzo is a criminal. We remember, Husni, we said that last week, right? The very first goal came in the first few minutes, and it was, correct me if I'm wrong, it was Salad, wasn't it? That scored.
It was across the face of the goal. Yeah.
From Pulisic, right? Pulisic was the guy that basically Di Lorenzo did his usual thing of wandering off from the right back position. He wandered into midfield, into central midfield. So suddenly there was a big runway down their right side. And literally, if you watch the highlights, and you clearly watched them 3 times, all Pulisic had to do was just knock the ball into space, run after the ball. Yeah, good pace. But then he was faced with only a centre-back to get past, who made his tackle, last-ditch tackle, and missed it. Then he just squared it across the area. Perfect ball for Salamaker to finish. That was kind of a bit of a trend of things to come, hasn't he? What did you think about how the match started?
Yeah, you're right about that goal. I just want to add one more thing, and because I watched it a few times. So Jimenez was inside the box as well. He wasn't really in the clear, so I think there were 2 defenders in front of him. I do worry a little bit that might be one thing that's affecting the chemistry of the team, is that Pulisic, he looked, and when you're on the pitch, you're looking across, so you're looking straight. You can see defenders in front of you. You can, at the corner of the eye, maybe spot one of your forwards. But to spot Salmakers making the run, I mean, you got to have quite the eagle eyes. But no doubt, undoubtedly, you could see Jimenez, and he was quite clear. So the option was there to actually pass to Jimenez. I hope this isn't a case whereby the wingers or the other forwards or anyone else in the team in the midfield are making a conscious decision not to pass to Jimenez, because the truth is that he hasn't been able to put a lot away. He has had good chances, but he hasn't been clinical.
Yeah.
So that does worry me a little bit. Then you're right about Di Lorenzo, but you have to credit Di Lorenzo a little bit. He was the one who got fouled for the penalty, I think. Yeah, I think it was Estupiñán.
Yes. That's later on where they were pushing really hard. They were already 2-0 down, hasn't he? Right?
Yeah, you're right. So in comparison to what we said last week, is that I think the consensus was that we expected it to be very cagey first half, but we wanted the subs to come on, and in the second half we would take it. It was, we are happy to be wrong. We essentially scored, and we put up a good lead in the first half of the game. But credit to a number of players. I liked what I saw about Pavlovic. Many people will be putting Pavlovic down, but he had a hand in both goals, by the way. And it was, you couldn't hope for better. 2-0, and really trying to defend the first half. How about the second half, John? I mean, do you have some views about the second half?
Oh man! So obviously, one thing I noticed pretty much immediately, as you said, Pavlovic did everything. One credit you have to give him is that if you see the second goal, Anguissa tried to take the ball off him, and Pavlovic was too strong, and Anguissa bounced off him, and then that ball came in. And trying to remember who was the player, the French Fofana did a lovely little touch, and then ended up on Pulisic, who finished it off. Really, really good finish. Now, Napoli at this time were just starting to get their feet. Without any doubt, they had most of the ball. They were coming at us, but really, in honesty, they were not doing a lot of damage. The problem I was seeing constantly was that on the left side, Politano was having lots of fun against Estupiñán. It seemed to kind of go, okay, I'll try and take you on. Actually, I can take you on. I can beat you on the ball whenever I want. And it became this constant, I'm going to grab the ball and I'm just going to go past you. It was really weird because Politano is a decent player, but he's not known to be he's not known to be like a pacey winger that's going to obliterate an opponent. So that was very weird, because I remember commenting in the chat saying, is Estupiñán injured or really slow? Because Politano seems to constantly be having a go here and winning the battle. And the comments were, he's actually faster than this. It's a bit strange. Well, I think maybe the frustration was building throughout the match, Husni, which is why he was an imbecile in the way he committed that tackle. He came from the back on a player inside the box. I mean, there was no doubt whatsoever that was, to me, initially was like, oh, it's a penalty. And I said, no, that's not just a penalty. That's going to be a red card. And this is going to be a bit of a interesting last 20, 30 minutes of the game because this idiot has left us in trouble. So how did you see the incident?
I agree, but I'm also thinking all the way back to. Do you remember when we played Chelsea and Tomori did something similar to Mason Mount? Pulled him a bit on the shoulder, went down, clear on goal. It's I think it was a red card. I don't know if it was. I don't remember if it was a penalty as well. But do you feel that that's a bit of a double whammy there? That you take the red and then you're also getting the penalty.
But that's a very clear rule, isn't it?
Yeah.
That ball was going to be put.
Like,
this wasn't
Husni down. Yeah.
This wasn't just a player that was going to be running in on goal. This was definitely going to be a goal. If you recollect, the ball had come back to the player. The player was just going to put it away, and I think that's why it was so severe because. But he has stopped a clear goal scoring opportunity. So it was.
Until he puts it away, you would never know because keep in mind it's Di Lorenzo and anything can happen. By the way, he could have kicked it towards the bar, a number of things. So,
but equally, the penalty could have been missed.
Yeah. Yeah, the same thing with the penalty. It is what it is, but I mean, if you lose your man, what options do you have really? Estepinian put in that position.
Some people would
have done anything different.
Hindsight is 2020, and some people would have said, just let the guy score. You're still 2-1. You've still got 11v11, whatever. However, having said all of that, Estupinian got sent off, De Bruyne scored the goal, and we moved on from there. It just became a case of Allegri trying to think, how the hell can I shut up shop? And one change came in, which was Bartesaghi. Who did he take off for Bartesaghi? Pulisic or Jimenez? I can't remember. I
don't remember. Yeah.
Anyway, one of the forwards came off and Bartesaghi came on. And I have to say, Bartesaghi did a hell of a lot better down that left side as stopping Politano. It got shut down. So what does that say exactly? In fact, I think that might be a blessing in disguise for today. The fact that Milan came out of this match with a win, a lot of positive press. Of course, it was all hands to the pump. You're not going to easily beat a team like Napoli, even though they had a huge problem at the back. And it was, but you have to beat who's in front of you. Ultimately, that's how a season is. When a club is in multiple competitions, it's going to have injuries. Conte was bemoaning lots of the injuries, but then also the way they conceded the goals was just really, really poor defending. Basic defending, if you ask me. You can't have such massive space down the flanks that way. And then if Pavlovic runs forward, as we said before, the thought was that Anguissa would take the ball off him and then initiate a counter. Anguissa couldn't touch him. So, and that's an interesting point about Anguissa. He's a great player, but his shooting on goal is dreadful. It's really awful. And he finds himself in a lot of good positions. That guy, reminds me a little bit, a tiny, tiny bit of Kessie, but he doesn't have the finishing at all. That's something that he needs to improve in his game. All right.
I agree. I do rate Anguissa quite highly. But just to add on a few things. Napoli did have their chances. So we saw a good deflection by Modric with a header. To hit the frame of the bar. Mike had to be called, I think, twice, I think. He had 2 good chances. But if I was a Napoli fan, I would be rather upset that you had a good amount of time where you were playing with a one-man advantage and you couldn't really make anything out of it. Nothing of great significance like a 1v1 or multiple shots on goal. And to really get that solitary goal by a penalty, you really have to worry a little bit because this Napoli team are actually highly rated and Scudetto favorites, of course. I mean, after winning it last year, if you won it recently, you'd always put money on them to win it again. But you're right. A lot of their commitments in Europe. So you can really see the difference in terms of 2 quality teams. And, I'm proud to say that our team is of quite a bit of quality right now. But Champions League football and that time of focus elsewhere with the injuries, as you've mentioned, does really make the big difference. And, we've seen this before, even when we were in the Champions League back in the early 2000s, right? When we were quite the dominant team. We could lose to a smaller team. And we've done so, even with a lineup like with Maldini. because we were in several competitions.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think the Champions League is going to have a very significant impact. I think everybody knew that. I'm not suddenly coming up with a theory that is genius level. But Napoli, the way they have built injuries over just the first month of the season, they've got to be worried about that. Spinazzola injured, Buongiorno injured. Those are not little players, Husni. Those are very significant players that can change a game or close out a game. So Conte's got a problem.
And Lukaku out for a while, yeah.
Oh, Lukaku, massive injury.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the reasons why they brought in Lorenzo Luca, and actually he came on against us. Huge player, by the way, and really tall. And I thought we were going to get aerially bombarded, but didn't happen. They just couldn't get the balls in, or the quality that they needed for them to come in. And Højlund, he didn't really have an impact in this game. He couldn't get that clear shot, clear line on goal. But he did find his shooting boots later on in the week, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Some would say at the most important game financially. Yeah. Okay, Husni, any last thoughts about this game?
Nope.
Because it brought us to the top of the league.
Yeah, it's a good moment to be in. And, I was thinking about this in context as well. Is that we're now 5-6 games down, 5, 6, or 7. We're playing 7.
That was match day 5. This is match day 5.
Yeah.
Now we're match day 6 this weekend. Yeah.
So at every you could say mini stage of the league, you want to see where you're at, and even though we're top of the league, there's not a big gap between us and maybe the 5th, 6th place. Yeah, even to Atlanta. I mean, it's maybe a difference of like a game or 3 points. If we lose the game later, then everyone else could essentially be on the same level. So being a top league is nice, but let's not blow it out of proportion. There's still a lot to play for.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so next one. It's just a review of the players. I thought Salamaker, Pulisic, absolutely out of this world. I'd say absolute worst player by far was Estupinian for me. I thought Bartesaghi showed what a defensive left back is capable of doing in terms of just blocking Politano. As I said, I think Politano's okay as a player. Again, I'm definitely not a Napoli fan, but he's not a world beater. So I'm kind of shocked at how bad Estupinian looked against him. And maybe something will come out to tell us that he actually had an injury. However, he's now suspended for the game, and the likelihood is that we're going to have Bartesaghi there. Jimenez, you're right. Starting to be a bit of an issue, mate. And this game also marked the comeback of Leao. And, Leao, when he started running, he looked like something else. He really did look like something else. So we're going to have to keep an eye on the Leao situation, because it's at some point, Husni, I think Allegri is going to have to go Nkunku, Leao, or Jimenez. And I think a fully fit Leao sits Jimenez. That's what I think. Anything you want to say about the team?
True, but Jimenez, the way that I see it is that you can't deny that there is some product there. So no end product, we can agree. No end product because only one goal so far. But he does get into positions. He's inside the box. He does have runs at goal. Just can't seem to put it back the box. Now, if I'm looking at Leao and where he really thrives is that in times where there's a lot of space, I think the league has pretty much got that covered. When they see Leao on the pitch, they know to double, triple team him and make sure that they really cut off all the passing lanes or really try to block him off. What I hope to see, I really want to see the peak of Nkunku back, because if Nkunku somehow is back to and if you watch all those highlight reels from before, if he's able to live back to that moment, I think him and by far should be the default center forward.
Oh, interesting! Really? Is that what you think? Okay.
Because what we need from a center forward is that the guy that can also Nkunku is also not that tall, but I feel that he has a bit more flair than Jimenez. So that's really how I'm feeling. I still, maybe just me, I'm still seeing Liao too much on that left flank. So if, and I would even put it out there, if Liao was more committed towards maybe being a bit more defensive minded, I would rather drop Estupinian and put Liao there. And
Ooh,
you,
yay. Okay, wow. That's that you're asking Leao to change his DNA. He can't
a
do that.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Husni. I think it's more likely that Pulisic moves onto the Stupinian position and Leao goes up top with someone else. That's the way I kind of see it as potentially. So maybe Jimenez moves over to the right, or Leao and then Nkunku, and Estupinian is the one that's dropped. At the end of the day, Estupinian is the one that's been looking like he's got issues actually defending that flank properly. Now, I think Pulisic will put in a shift. I think obviously Pulisic is our killer at the moment. I think he must be the capocannoniere for the league at the moment. He must be. He must have scored 4 or 5 goals easily. Oh, by the way, hello Andon. Nice to see you, man. Been a long time. He says he agrees with you, Husni. Jimenez is a better option up top because he is a striker, but ultimately, and this is an important point, he has to score goals because that's what he's paid to do. All right, he needs to find his goal to keep that position.
But with regards to Pulisic, I wouldn't touch him at all. If he's thriving where he is, I said leave him where he is. He's now in the zone, so I wouldn't tamper with him. And I was thinking something else because you're right, and we spoke about this before. That Pavlovic, he's defensively he can be a big liability. How about if you were to put Pavlovic in Estupinian's position and put Barthez?
Yes, hasn't he? So this is the funny point. Pavlovic is, I've said it so many times before, he's a frustrated either central midfielder or winger. He runs down the wing whenever you give him the ball. He won't stand still. He won't stand there and give it to Modric. He will grab it and run. So I expected against Napoli for Pavlovic to get caught out, and I've always said great for Pavlovic that Rabiot's in front of him because Rabiot can then fill in behind him because he'll go forward. He'll be in front of everyone. Now, if you were to give Pavlovic the left wing position, I bet he would pay you his wages because he gets a lot of his frustration out. It's just like nothing about him tells me that he's a centre back. Honestly, yeah, it's a great call. I'd be curious to see that one. It'd be an interesting attempt. Okay, all right. So Andon agrees with you. Let's keep the positions as they are, and Leao, Pulisic, and Nkunku are outfield players. Fahadinho says Santi is the only centre forward.
Yeah, but if you want to
needs to score though, mate.
Tinker a bit with the formation. Let's see it in the Copa. I think maybe in the Copa Allegri should be brave enough to do this. Just switch them all out and let's see what new things can come from it.
I mean, the next leg in the Coppa d'Italia is Lazio, and I am sorry to Steve, but Lazio yesterday, oh my God, the game against Torino 3-3. They're in trouble, man. They're in bad trouble, that team. Okay, we ready to move on, Husni?
Yeah.
Right, so we're going to do a review of the Champions League games for the Serie A teams. Again, this has a very important impact on the potential performance this weekend. So let's have a look here. I've got a few notes on this because some of these teams and these coaches are new to me. So Napoli they're playing at home. They played Sporting Lisbon. Their coach is Ruiz Borges. This game was an interesting one, Husni, because Højlund double and De Bruyne double assist. And the first one was a shot and the second one was a header. Really good performance by these guys. Sporting Lisbon, no joke of a team. That's a solid 3 points. So they've recovered from the first loss against Man City. As it turns out, when you've got 11v11, they can actually do a bit of a job. The other thing is Conte pre-game was just like saying, when people are asking about injuries, he was saying, "What do you want me to do? What do you expect to happen? Do you want to try and pick a team yourself?" So he was really having a go at the press. Did you see or anything about this game, Husni? Even the highlights?
I didn't. Yeah, I also didn't watch the highlights. But
Yeah.
it's not something that we wouldn't expect because Napoli, like we've said before, they're still a quality team.
They are a quality team, yeah. Okay, so then we had Villarreal playing at home against Juventus. So their coach is Marcelino. Now, this is an interesting one, and this is an important point for us today, Husni. Juventus were 2-1 up, and they conceded the equaliser in the 90th minute. Juventus have 100% an injury, and again, a defensive injury problem. So Bremer, once again, he's going to be out against us, and we'll discuss it later on, right, Husni, when we talk about the forward look onto match day 6 and our fixture against Juventus. But these guys have a very soft centre, and as I've said before, Di Gregorio, he is like a sieve. I think his gloves are covered in lube. I don't think he's a very good keeper at all, and Juventus are going to suffer heavily. And you know what? I looked at the league table for the Champions League after those two fixtures. They have only got 2 points. They're literally in 23rd place at the moment. These guys, and this is it, Husni. If they drop out of the Champions League at this stage, these are the guys that could become very dangerous. If they stay in, I think they won't be able to cope and they'll drop away. They'll fall away in Serie A. That's what I think is going to happen. They consist of a very exciting mixture of players, but at the back, no, they have so many injuries and they are going to struggle, I think, because of it. Again, did you see any other highlights for this game?
I didn't, but we spoke about this before about the Juventus. So the result's not unexpected. And we spoke about before about the defensive frailties of Juventus. I'm starting to question their coach quite a bit. And keep in mind that Juventus have had, similar to us, by the way, last season, they've had a bit of a rocky relationship with their coaches. So Motta, he managed to last quite a while before he was eventually given the sack. Of course, much later than Fonseca. But they haven't been doing great as well. And I think for them, of course, they have a high standard that they need to get in the Champions League. But this might be the season where they might need to really rethink their coaching options again. Because for Juventus, you have to admit that this isn't really a great start. I mean, they have a higher standard than us. That's for sure.
Oh, man, this is a terrible start for them, actually. But again, I kind of think Villarreal away isn't an easy game, Husni, right? And they had the game. They were 2-1 up. They just had to shut shop for a few more minutes, and they couldn't. And that's the point. I think you push this team, you'll break through them. Okay, next game. We have Atalanta against Bruges, Club Bruges, one of our favourite clubs. We like to give them 30, 40 million every few seasons as a gift.
We have the
bringing
players,
players.
right?
Yeah, I mean, we basically fund the European campaign all the time. So this was an impressive win, Husni. 2-1 win for Atalanta. Club Bruges are making waves. A lot of people and so-called football pundits in the UK are saying that Club Bruges are a really up-and-coming club. They're doing some amazing things. Watch out, they're a very dangerous team. So I think Atalanta, for them to beat this team was important. The other thing was, I think this kind of marked the return of Lookman and Ederson from injury as well. Different animal entirely. The one thing that I started to notice, Juric, this might shock you, it might not. When he takes off Ederson, he thinks Musa is his replacement. That's like going from a level 92 player to a level 12. If it was a FIFA card, it's crazy that he thinks that that's a replacement. If that's how thin they are on the ground, then they've got a problem. But anyway, 2-1 win. Very, very important 3 points, hasn't he? Anything you want to say about this game?
Yeah, not much. Club Brugge, you got to keep an eye out for them because for them, the Champions League, as the way that I see it, is that no one's going to put money on them to actually win it or actually to go very far. But they are in it to actually showcase their players bring up market value, and sell them. So there's a reason why they're in the Champions League. So I would think that at any day, Atlanta is still a better team, because keep in mind that the Belgian league isn't one of the top 5 leagues. So their objectives are very different in the Champions League, and as long as they can get a good performance, showcase players, make the sale at the end of the season, I think Bruges are happy. Now for Atlanta, they're gonna have to put a little bit of focus in the Champions League, because their form inside the actual league is not that great. So maybe this is also part of their money grab. But yeah, an expected result to me.
Atalanta are a team that will probably go into the Champions League, into the top 24 clubs, will go into a playoff zone, and then we'll see. Remember, they surprisingly completely collapsed last season when they were in that top 24. Everyone thought they're going to go through, and then they got destroyed. Like, they didn't just lose, they got destroyed. It's a very strange performance that they put in. I think Gasperini has left them a gift of a backbone of a very impressive squad when everyone is fit and ready. And I'm telling you, man, every time I watch that goalkeeper, Carnesecchi, dried meat, whenever I watch him, he's showing that he is, I think, on par with Donnarumma at least, and he's got the feet to go with it. So Italy's blessed in that position at the moment, I've got to say. So yeah, very happy with Carnesecchi. Okay, so then we have this. Oh, by the way, the Bruges coach, Nicky Hayden. Strange, I saw an article. So apparently he coached some, I think he might be English, I'm not 100% sure, but he coached some tiny club in England and then moved over to coach Bruges. Very random, but they're doing really well. So
there's a money ball move right there.
Wow, it's a weird one. So Inter played Slavia Prague. Lautaro scored 2, Dumfries with another as well. Now I'm going to butcher this. The Slavia Prague coach is called Jindřich Trojsovsky. I'm sorry to anyone that actually knows how that name should be pronounced, but they got mullered. Inter were in total control. Really impressive performance. 6 points out of 6 in the Champions League. These guys are in the top 8 at the moment. Very powerful performance, very controlled. The biggest problem for them, Thuram picked up an injury, and it looks like the injury could take him out until the end of the month. So for them, the international break has come at the right time. They needed that but we'll talk about, maybe we can talk about it now, to be honest with you. What's happened following? Because last night, a few fixtures were played, right? In Serie A, match day 6. Inter Milan beat Cremonese, the very team that beat us. Inter Milan brought in a player in Thuram's position. What's his name? Bonny, I think his name might have been, or something like that.
Bonnet.
Yeah, Bonnet or something. But what is it? 2 or 3 assists and a goal. So, I mean, so a guy comes in and bang, he performs. And I'm telling you, the game was total, utter, complete control. It was a training game by Inter. They were able to take players off and rest them. Really impressive 4-1 win.
Yeah, that was Cremonese's first loss, I think, in the league. So keep in mind that
Husni, I was telling you, man, these guys, I said it last week, Cremonese were conceding so many shots on goal, so many chances, but somehow we're holding out. And at some point, the net was going to burst, and that was yesterday. Basically, their balloon burst. Their coach, even before the game, said, listen, don't follow anything about the fact that we haven't lost a game yet. Today and tonight is going to be the game where we find out where our level is. So he knew that Inter were going to be doing something. And I'll tell you something else. Hakan Çalhanoğlu wasn't playing in this game. He was benched. I think he was injured or needed to be rested. And Kivu put Barella in that CDM position. And from that deep line playmaker position, Barella bossed the game. He literally just, because he can do it all. He can spot a pass. So I think he scored one, but he controlled the midfield at the same time. It was incredible, the performance. And I think the thing that really frustrated me as well is that they had Di Marco, they had Barella, they had Esposito come on as well. They had, what's that defender? The Inter Milan defender, the plays for Italy.
Oh, DiMarco.
Not Di Marco, the centre back. His
The
bloody
old
name.
one, is it?
Not Acerbi. No, he wasn't playing. Bastoni as well. You know, so these guys are supposed to be Inter Milan, and they had Frattesi playing as well. So at one point within the game, they had played Di Marco, Bastoni, Barella, Frattesi, and Esposito. So that's 5 Italian nationals came on. I just got to ask the question: which one is Internazionale? Which one is Milan? Something happened.
You don't have to ask, John. You know.
Something happened in our DNA, though, Husni. What's going on there? Just explain that to me. But that was impressive. I've got to say, that was impressive. The other thing, we're talking about match day 6. Atalanta played Como, Husni. And Atalanta had Ederson and Lookman starting. And they both looked really, really good. And Como, in my opinion, some people are saying it was a incredible chip. I think he was trying to just cross it to the far post, and it hit it badly, and it flew over the goalkeeper and went into the goal. The match finished 1-1. As you said earlier, Atalanta's struggling now. I think Atalanta's still unbeaten in the league, but they've drawn too many games. I think they've drawn 4 out of 6 of them. That is not someone that's going to be competing for the league title. And I think with Juric, again, Ederson came off because he's building his fitness, and Musa came on for him. At that point, I switched off the game, if I'm honest. I was watching the game live, but when Musa came on, I thought there's no point here because they're most likely going to be...
You've seen it before, right, John?
I've seen that play too many times. Yeah, I've seen it too many times. Right. Okay, anything you want to say about Inter, Husni?
Yeah, I do want to add something about Inter. And they've lost 2 games already in the league, but let's not blow that out of proportion. Who they've lost to? This is still a good team, by the way. And the fact that they can demolish Cremonese after a 3-0 win, okay, fine. And Slavia Prague is not from a top 5 league as well, so it's not a big game. You expect them to win. They're building momentum, and we really have to keep an eye about these teams. It's like, fine, 2 losses. Most teams, if not all teams, will get at least 2 losses throughout the entire league season.
Mm-hmm.
But once they start to really pick up this momentum, I just worry that they then become a bulldozer, and this is where we have to really be careful. So we haven't played Inter yet, and when we talk about, I think the title of this pod as well, whether we are actually Scudetto contenders, you have to really see how you perform against these teams. Now, I know that we play them, it's a different animal because, yeah, it's a derby and all, but in the league as well, you have to keep an eye out. I cannot think of recent years where they've never, at this stage of the league, been Scudetto challengers as well. Even as they are, they're only 3 points behind us. So keep an eye out. Inter are not going away.
I don't think they're behind us, Husni, because they've played their fixture.
Oh yeah.
So they are on par with us right now in the league. Yeah, they've got 12 points as well. They've played their 6th fixture. We haven't. So no, you're right. I think they are. But again, the issue here is Kivu. The issue here is injuries. They're also getting a big build-up of injuries. But the difference here is that they can bring people off the bench and they don't appear to get weaker. Yeah, that's the big difference is those guys are coming off the bench and they're having fun. They're playing. I mean, this bloody player that came on yesterday, everyone was like, I remember watching Uncle Sharma saying, Bonnie's finally going to get his chance. I keep saying Bonnie. I think that's his name, right? Let me just check for a minute before I answer Fahadinho. I'm going to answer Fahadinho in a minute because that's a good question, Fahadinho. Thank you. But let me just change. It's Bonnie. Right? Bonnie. Yeah, it is Bonnie. So pre-game, people were saying, "Oh, Bonnie, he had a terrible debut, and it was a mistake to bring him on." I mean, yesterday he looked perfect. He literally looked like the perfect striker. So I know it's only Cremonese, but we all know Cremonese
Yeah, you're gonna
can
have to beat
cause
these small teams.
problems.
We would struggle, and okay, we lost against Cremonese, but we would struggle against any small team, man.
Well, yeah. Ultimately, the way I think about it is you can win the league as long as you destroy all of the teams outside the top four and maybe pick off a few of the top four as well. You can win the league that way. I think Milan has now lost against one of the smaller teams, but Inter have now lost. Who did they lose to? Juve and Udinese. And the Udinese one was a bit of a odd result as well, but they did. So now let's get to Fahadinho's point. So I'm going to read out his question. He says, correct me if I'm wrong, John. I believe the Curva Sud will not be available during the Juve match due to increasing ticket prices. So Fahadinho, this came out a few weeks back, and it was the Curva Sud saying they would not attend the Juve away game because Juventus were asking people to
Register, right?
Milan fans to subscribe to them in order to be able to buy tickets. And they said it was scandalous that they were being asked to subscribe to the Juventus site in order to buy the tickets. So they announced a few weeks back that they would not be present. Apparently, it's the fifth season in a row, or fifth, yeah, I think so, fifth season in a row that they have not attended because of this reason. Anything you want to say on that, Husni?
Yeah, we mentioned about I think last week that we mentioned about that, but we've beaten them. Even if they Curva didn't attend, we're still going to have fans inside the stadium, right? So it's just a Curva, and
Just the Curva. I love it. Just the Curva. I think Curva do a lot. I'll speak about this in a minute anyway. So let me just. Max, how you doing, mate? Nice to see you as well. Join us from his X account.
This is
Lovely.
our new channel in 30
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Christ. Okay, right. So let's move on to match day 6, and we're going to do our preview. So it's an away game against Juventus. This is another acid test. This is the second one. Now, if you ask me, Husni, if you'd ask me which one of the two, Napoli or Juve, would you think would be more trouble for us? I would have said Napoli because of the way that they hold the ball. One thing I said last week, and I'll say it again today, Juve are more of an unknown quantity because they have many young players that can do extraordinary things. And you can't really predict how this team plays. They can score from anywhere. They've got pace. They've got everything except for a solid defense. That is their huge and biggest weakness. And what's our strength at the moment is puncturing people that have weak defenses. So is it a good matchup for us? I don't know. I didn't know, first of all, Igor Tudor is Croatian. I did not know that. So pre-game, he said he loves Modric. It's incredible what Modric is doing at his age. He will forever be a hero. He's the greatest of all time in his position. So there's a lot of love there. There's a lot of, I don't know, honestly, what Tudor can do against Allegri. I don't think he's at the same caliber. Strategically, I don't think he can. I think individually they've got interesting players, and we'll discuss the team in a minute. Let's move on to that. Right. So this is one suggested lineup for today. I think the biggest discussion point is that Tomori has been recovering from a bit of a knock and an injury. And they say that potentially the Winter could be taking his position. So that's one, okay, Husni? On the left, it will be Bartesaghi. And to me, after seeing Bartesaghi's performance against Politano, I think Bartesaghi is actually a better choice anyway. I would be thinking about starting Bartesaghi in his place. The rest of the team, to be honest, through the performances, has to pick itself. I'm sorry for Ricci. I genuinely am, but it's really clear that Allegri only sees Ricci as that player that comes on when Fofana is tired or when Modric needs to come off. And up top, apparently there's no discussion that Jimenez will begin because Leao is not fit. And your point earlier about Nkunku, I listened to Allegri's pre-game conference, and he says that Nkunku is not ready yet. And one of the things he mentioned, it seemed to indicate that Nkunku is technically not ready yet, which I found surprising. I don't know whether he thinks that he's not adjusted to the league. What do you think of this lineup, Husni?
Yeah, you're right. The team picks itself, and we have because we only play once a week, right? So we're gonna have to put our strongest starting lineup each and every week. But you're right about Bartezagi. The kid deserves a chance. He needs to be played continuously to show that he's worthy of staying in the club, and I think that he is. Even in preseason, we saw him quite a bit before Estupinian came. Now, I do want to put a bit of a spotlight on Fofana. So Fofana against Napoli, yes, with the assist, but do you remember he did have that one chance, but he didn't pass it to Jimenez, and he tried to go on goal, and he skied it.
Of course.
Yeah. So Fofana can have good games, but is he is he consistently a good player? I think for me personally, the jury's still out. So if you're saying that there's no space for Ricci because if he's a backup, then I don't know why Fofana continues to feature. I don't see him really cutting out the passes. In the chat, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't see him doing that quite a lot. So there is a potential for replacement in that position. Now for Tomori, this is another player that I do want to pick up. Recently he's been doing quite okay, but you don't want to risk a player that came off and maybe had a bit of muscle issue and put him right back in, right? Is De Winter? And by the way, I didn't. I read this out, but I was a bit surprised to find out that De Winter actually used to play for Juve.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But before I get clowned out on the internet, let me check that.
Was that when he was 12?
No.
Coney De Winter playing for Juve. If anyone in the chat knows this, and you can beat Husni to it, please try.
Yeah, he used to play. There's an article here on football.
Okay.
Does Juventus regret losing De Winter as he returns with Milan?
Yeah.
So I do hope that we can start to feature a bit of our new signings, younger players. But yeah, I'm also alert. This is a big game. We can't really take big gambles on big games because if they don't turn up, we're essentially going to throw 3 points away to a direct rival. But other than that, I'm hoping, as always, every week a better game from Jimenez. Salah, if he can continue his trickery, that would be great. Modric, always keep him there.
Yeah. Modric, as long as he's fit, he has to play. Right. So then let's have a quick chat about Juventus, and this is where you see the players that they have. So this is a suggested lineup by OneFootball. So Openda up top, Yildiz, Conceição, Cambiaso, McKennie, Locatelli, João Mario, and then at the back, Kelly, Gatti, Kalulu, and then Di Gregorio. So, the central defender is injured. Di Gregorio is a very, very average goalkeeper. I'm actually so surprised that Juventus in the summer didn't go out and pay a buttload for Carnesecchi, because he would have fixed a lot of their problems right now. I think their midfield is, if this is their midfield, Husni, of McKennie and Locatelli sitting there, they're dead. They're gonna get destroyed. And I've got, I don't care if people think that I'm jinxing it. I generally think McKennie and Locatelli are shite, and I wish Locatelli never wore an Italy jersey again. But up top, Yildiz, Conceição, Cambiaso down the wing, João Mario that side. I'm telling you, man, they could do some damage. But the problem is, can they hold out the other side? I kind of think Pulisic could have some fun here. What do you think, Husni?
Is Vlahovic out, by the way? I thought Vlahovic was...
He's benched a lot of the time.
Okay.
Husni.
So he's not expected.
He's benched a lot of the time.
Because I thought that Vlahovic, if he doesn't have any major issues, he would actually start. So that's what I would be expecting. But you're right. The player that I would actually look out more is Yildiz. I think Yildiz, this guy, is capable of magic at this point. So he's able of big chances, amazing goals. So you got to keep an eye out. But you're right in terms of where our strengths are in the attacks, and the fact that we've been able to, in the vast majority of games, score 2 or more goals per game. So I think there's only that one game we had that 1-0 with Modric scoring. But other than that, we can actually score. So scoring is not a problem for us. I do hope that our midfield performs well, because that's where we're going to dominate the game. If we are able to really dominate the midfield, you're right. Player for player, our midfield, I think, is much better than Juve's. But then again, we'll see. Maybe
Yeah.
it will not be a clean game. It might not be high scoring, but yeah, we should be able to win this one.
I think so. I genuinely can't see. I can't see any other outcome. I know they're playing at home. I guess that's one thing. We've got no Curva with us. Okay, it's another thing.
So
But
we are
no.
better, and we are better rested, you could say.
Yeah, better and better rested, and they've just come back from a bruising encounter away to Villarreal. I mean, if they'd beaten Villarreal away, that would have been a bit of a statement. But as it is, no, they just leak so many goals. I can't personally see it. Yeah, and they've got Bremer out, and Bremer is their best defender. So yeah, I just don't see it.
You want to go score predictions?
Ooh, you want to do score predictions? All right, Husni. Let's. I'm going to say that Milan is going to beat Juventus 2-0. Clean sheet.
Yeah.
Did you say same? No.
I was thinking that as well. I think we can do this one.
Yeah, and who do you think is going to score if you want to go that far?
Pulisic.
Yeah, that's a safe bet.
Okay, fine. I'll give it to Jimenez. Second goal.
Aye, nice. I mean, I'm going to go for something different, all right? Just because I have to. I think Fofana is going to find the target. And you know what? Rabiot against his old team. Bang.
Oh,
Take
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Fahadino. What a prediction. 1-1.
Oh, don't
Yeah,
do that.
maybe, yeah. We haven't drawn a game yet, so maybe this is it.
I mean, if it's that, you'd wonder why. As long as it stays 11v11, that's the other thing, right? One thing I'll say, Bartesaghi has a tendency. He loves a red card. He's learned that from Theo very well. That's the only thing. As long as it stays 11v11, I think this should be okay for us. Yeah. Completely clean. All right. Let's move on to the next topic. Stadium news, Husni. This is something that you wanted to talk about. This is something that something we've spoken about so many times, and I looked back at some of the slides that we used before, and several of them were absolutely spot on. So I just went, okay, I'll grab the ones that are correct and whack them back in. How do I know finally that this is a serious topic, Husni? How do I know? Because for the first time ever, I saw an Interista, Uncle Sharma, talking about the stadium. The guy only talks about football, right? He only talks about the matches because they've got such a busy schedule. But for the first time, he went, yep, we've done this. We're going to buy it with our cousins, and we're going to move to this site. So let's just talk about it.
John,
Yeah.
So if that was Uncle Sharma's first time talking about it, keep in mind that this is Uncle Sharma's first time talking about it, and he's probably been streaming for 10 years or so. Whereas for Milan fans, you got to talk about it at least 3 or 4 times a year, right? Because that's all we have.
Well, that's the point. I think that's the point, Husni, is we don't have other news, so we come up with this every now and then. So, but we unearthed a lot of the facts that are now happened. So let's have a look here. The price was correct as we estimated last time. The San Siro will be knocked down, and the new stadium will be built basically across the road or in the car park, whatever the area adjacent to it. Some of the designs people have, I think, compared to a toilet bowl.
Remember there was that picture that they were floating around, the cathedral design. It's not going to be that.
No. But I mean, yeah, and the other thing as well, the actual architects that have been asked to come up with the designs, they're the same ones that we've pointed out before, plus Foster and Partners. So Sir Norman Foster in the UK is a legend. I've got friends who have worked for him and his firm. They've got thousands of architects working in there for multitudes of projects. So Sir Norman Foster is an enormous an enormous firm as well. So no doubt. And Manica. So Manica is someone we spoke about in the past, and some of the beautiful stadiums that they have designed. So no doubt whatsoever, these people know what they're doing. Okay. It will be a 71,000 seater, or maybe 71,500 seater. The opening date is pretty much in line with what we've indicated in the past. Now, I am not, Husni. Maybe I should discuss this. The fact that the vote, apparently, rumors are it was 24-20, 24 for, 20 against, with several people abstaining, including members of Fratelli d'Italia, or part of the ruling party, kind of saying we're going to abstain from voting because, despite some reservations, we want to help the economy in the area. So basically, something's happened there to make people abstain from voting and stop this from going forward. It tells me, though, that there's a lot of push against this happening, Husni. And what do we know about Italy? When there is that kind of undercurrent, things will happen to block things from happening. And two other things to say here. The cost will be over €1 billion. So I'm going to play devil's advocate. What if a vendor loan is required by both Oaktree and Redbird? And what if the vendor loan comes from Elliott Management?
Wouldn't be surprising now, would it?
It wouldn't, but what would that mean, Husni? And this has been touted as a complete joke. That would mean that Elliott Management would potentially have the opportunity to acquire Inter and Milan simultaneously. I'll stop there. That's just lethal to talk about that. But there's no way.
Yeah.
No way we have €500 million that our owners have 500 million euros, Husni. There's no way. So either they sell now that they have this, or we sit in the San Siro until it rots, and nothing will be ready by 2031.
Yeah.
Your opinion? Yeah.
Some things to point out. I did hear the rumor that actually there will be quite a large number of corporate seats. I don't know, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I read it somewhere, maybe about 10,000 or about there corporate seats. So even though it's going to be a new stadium, the focus is going to be still very much towards the high spenders. So I think that goes in line with the American ownership model, right? Trying to get the most money out of fans. And then the reason why I do wanted to raise this topic this week is that it's sure that there is some movement. So before, when we were speaking about, as you said, John, we've spoken great lengths many times about the topic, and we had many theories, and I guess good research that you've done to show that it's accurate and correct the way that it's turning out. But the one thing that I again have to point out, and I did say this before, with any construction project, there's bound to be delays. So for those who are listening to us, and if you have the opportunity and the chance, do see this old San Siro whilst it still remains. I think that's pretty much trying to get the message out there, that trying to relive that stadium, because the way that it's at now, it's just a matter of time before that building no longer exists. So this is why I did want to include it as part.
Yeah, absolutely. It's whether you go on the stadium tour, probably better for you to do that because you're not giving money to Redbird, or whether you want to go and enjoy a match. Enjoy, in brackets. I'm going to discuss this a bit more later on. But you're right, Husni. For us, it's going to become basically a clock is ticking now. So whoever wants to say, I've been there, done it, to the cathedral, I think now is the time to kind of think, okay, we've got a few years yet and other channels have said this. Listen, you've got a few years yet, but take the opportunity whilst you can, because this stadium has seen some incredible events happen, and it's history. It's just history, and it will be sad the fact that right now they have the right to knock down over 90%. But remember this: the payments have to be completed before the middle of November, because otherwise the second ring becomes of cultural significance, and then it's a giant FU to everyone in terms of knocking it down. Now, there's a really interesting, I wouldn't say argument, but conversation in a chat group about the fact that the San Siro should just be kept for posterity and because it is a monument. What's your opinion on that, actually, Husni?
I do see there's nostalgic reasons why people would say that, but keep in mind is that if you're not going to play or do anything in that stadium, it's just going to become an eyesore, right? I mean, I also don't want to see the San Siro abandoned, because then it just becomes, you've seen some of the photos of the Olympics in Brazil, what happens to some of the sporting venues after the Olympics. So
Yeah.
it's sad to see those photos, and I don't want that to happen with San Siro. So if people say, let's keep it, I would support it only if there were actual events. I mean, it could be used. But then what they said about the structural integrity of the building and all that, I don't think they're going to allow anyone to actually do anything big in the stadium, right?
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I get the feeling, I get the sensation. You have to see it to see what state of disrepair it's in, and if you think that the two clubs basically stop using it, it will just collapse basically, and it will become dangerous. So at some point, you've got to say enough is enough. So Fardinho says, I agree with you, John, a variable that may stop the project out of nowhere, even if it's all okay to go ahead. Yeah, Italy's Italy. That's the only thing you have to say. You've got to see it that way. Hello, Gunardi.
Interesting rumor here.
Our club will be sold. Was that Rossonari? Is it Rossonari TV? Is it? Said there's a rumor our club will. I heard Roy say this, and it is an interesting one. And I think I think this is a great point to continue and move on to the next one. Gunardi, I'll get to your point in just a second, because this is important. This is relevant. So, one thing I want to say, Camarda, bravissimo bambino. I am so happy to have seen him score on I think it was the same weekend as Esposito scored for Inter, which is great. Like, F you, man. You do it for you. I'll do it for Lecce instead of Milan. But it was really good to see him. It was a bullet header.
Yeah.
And
he took his shirt off. I think he got a yellow card for that as well. But okay, fine.
Took his shirt off, and he exposed the company that makes those tracking systems that these players wear. So gave a really good advert for them. That's made the newspapers saying, hey, out of nowhere, this guy's probably made them about 200,000 in advertising revenues, which is great. Okay. So this is the important point here. So I ask everyone who's listening, everyone who is interested, everyone who cares, to be honest. I mean, you don't have to care about anything I say, to be honest with you, but I've been asking myself this question for a while, and I've come to a conclusion, and I made a pod and released it early hours of this morning. It's in Italian. It's a Milanismo Italiano episode 7. Go and listen to it, and I think the English translation is out as well, so just do me that favor and listen to it, and just try and understand where I am coming from with my conclusion. And right at the beginning of this pod, Husni, you said something which is really important. You said we have to enjoy these wins. When we beat Napoli, when we are top of the league, we have to enjoy these times. And I don't disagree with you, Husni. You have to enjoy those times. And I think I've heard Max say it, and I've seen several people in our own chat group. By the way, Husni, do you want to plug the chat, the WhatsApp group?
Definitely. So we've had quite a recent joiner, and we welcome any more who would like to join our little WhatsApp family. You drop us a DM in Instagram. Yeah, I check Instagram all the time, so even though it's not been updated, but yeah, the alerts do come through Instagram, or you can leave us a comment on YouTube, whichever social media they've got, even on TikTok. They will pick that up, and we'll add you to the WhatsApp group. It's a great bunch of guys. We speak about Milan and other general interest topics, so we welcome everyone.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. So this is basically the main image I use in my Milanismo Italiano latest episode. And something happened last week. I subscribe to a guy called Enrico Silvestri. He can be seen as a little bit of an extremist, a real traditionalist who doesn't accept anything else. And he was doing a watch along or with someone, and I put a comment. And my comment was, we beat Napoli. I should be feeling joy, as you said earlier on, Husni, but I don't. I only felt a joy, and now please don't lynch me in this chat group. I felt joy when Estupinian got a red card. I laughed when De Bruyne scored against us. That's not right. That's not what a Milan supporter should be doing. And so I wrote to Silvestrin and I said, I don't know if you're going to see this. You know, I'm a co-host on one of these tiny channels. And Milanista 360, of course, Husni, I named us. But I said, there's something wrong. I am not feeling anything. And the numbness that I started having from that game that I've spoken before at Real Madrid has not been replaced. And so I did a little bit of soul searching. And basically, my Italian pod is to tell everyone that I feel Milanismo. I think the group has a lot of people with Milanismo. But I put out a poll about a week ago, Husni, if you remember. And that poll was, what gave you more joy? Milan winning against Napoli or Camarda scoring against for Lecce? And to my surprise, I obviously clicked Camarda because you can hear what I'm saying here. To my surprise, I think the ratio was 9-2 in favor of Camarda. And I've got to say that over the last 3 seasons, something very severe has happened to the way that I see this club. And this image is basically a summary of all of it, Husni. First, obviously, Maldini. That's why he's center of the picture. Technical director, our greatest son, removed. The logo, disrespected, redrawn. Currently, some of our shirts don't even use the logo anymore, or they have a strangely colored version. Our future captain was sold because of opportunism. Inter Milan were allowed to win their league title whilst we were the home team, and our ownership congratulated them on it. Our youth project was completely destroyed, and here I've got some pictures of some of the players. You'll recognize all of them, Husni. One of them you like particularly, I know, Kirkes. The San Siro was a lie about us having our own stadium and being able to throw Inter in the dumps. And then finally, I think the Curva, they're not standing for anything that I believe in anymore. They're told you can come in and not have any banners and they come back. So my conclusion is that I don't think I support Milan, Husni. It's a crazy thing to say. It's a crazy thing to say, and get me to understand this. Understand this from me. I don't say these things lightly. It doesn't mean that I'm out there looking for another club. It does not, right? I'm still here. I'm still passionate about the club. I'm still wanting to talk about the team. But I guess the question for me is, am I like an extreme version of what could happen to our fan base? And I'm not just one of the first people that has dropped off? Or is this a trend that's going to keep happening until something breaks the cycle? So I wanted to hear your opinion on it, Husni.
Yeah, well, we've spoken about this at great lengths before as well. You're right. The Milan that we support in terms of the energy, the passion, even for me personally, it feels different. You know, when we won the Scudetto a few years ago now, I was absolutely hyped. It felt like everything fell into place.
Yes.
Now is that when we win, yes, we win, few good performances, but it does feel under the context or under the umbrella of there's a bigger scheme that we're winning under. I've always said, and I do maintain, I'm consistent about this. I always want us to win. And in the times that we, even no matter how we play, or what players that we have, even if we're playing in the car park against the a bunch of kids, I want this team to win. And I go to the games to interesting enough, I have never seen this team win in person, but I still go.
Okay.
I'm the bad luck there. But I do get a lot of what you're feeling when I'm thinking about how do we actually get there. When you go to a game and you see the lineup, you see about where we are in the league, you see about where this team is going, you start to wonder about what has the journey been like. That is the part. That is the part that actually displeases me the most, because as you've mentioned, yeah, we've had to get to this stage where, okay, we are maybe a bit high flying in the league, even though it's early days, through losing incredible talents, losing our identity, and soon to be losing our stadium as well. So when you put the poll out in terms of which one would be more exciting or more appealing to watch, I do understand the fact that why yourself and I don't know who's the second other. I couldn't find the poll on my phone.
Yeah, there were 9 that voted with the same way I did,
Yeah.
and 2 only that voted for Napoli.
Yeah. But I do see that the fan base itself is also changing. Keep in mind that
Yes.
and I'm monitoring this, is that because we see it inside the. For those who don't know, I do check our audience makeup, if you can call it that, based on the analytics of YouTube and also on Spotify. Fans who support Milan tend to be the older fans. And when we start to really build up wins, and when the fan base starts growing again, you're going to be seeing or meeting fans that maybe in their 20s, I guess post 2000 babies, have only seen a version of Milan that lost a lot and now are in the ascendancy. So it's a combination of several factors, but I think primarily due to the fact that whether you still remember the memories from before, or whether you are making new memories. That's the only way that maybe I can try to simplify it in my mind. But I wouldn't say that either one is wrong. I mean, we welcome both fans, right? I mean, if you support this club, I wouldn't say that one fan is better than another, or that another group doesn't deserve to be fans. But we see things very differently. And I think maybe the club in their marketing tries to reinforce this a little, because, and I know they do this on purpose. They put a lot of the replays of older players, of
Yes.
our previous wins. I know they don't have new material, so that's a big part of it as well. But there's that part that appeals to fans of our generation, to say that we used to be something else there. This isn't the Milan that we grew up with. So that's just my take on it.
Yeah. So then the question is, all right, so if I've come to the realization that I don't support Milan anymore, I've come to the realization that this has happened over years. This is not quick. It's been a gradual degradation. It's not something I ever expected to happen. Then the question is, how can the club win me back? And I guess what a lot of people are holding on to is the sale, right? Milan will be sold to someone, and hopefully that someone will be saying, you know what, we don't know enough about the club. We're going to put people in place who know about the club, and we'll start to chip away at this garbage that they've put in place and replace it with the real bricks. But it's just as likely, the way I see it now, it's just as likely that, and this is crazy, Husni, maybe Maldini never comes back.
If you ask me, I don't think it's ever going to happen, because the only way that I can come to terms of it is that I look at other clubs as well. So we've supported, and we started, and we've grown up supporting a football club, and I've said it, and I'm consistent about this. Now it's become a money club. Look at about other clubs when they change ownership, when they change the performance, when identity changes. It's a one-way street. So even if Maldini were to come back maybe in 30 years, when he's about like what 30, 40 years when he's like 90 plus, it wouldn't be the same club as well. So this is why I do see it is that I don't think that you've stopped supporting the club, John. I think you've stopped supporting this evolution of the club, because even as a club as it is now, focusing on the money, it's that itself is going to change to another version soon, right? Maybe it's not going to be about money in the future. Maybe it's going to be about how can I put it if it's not about the money? Maybe it's going to be about the glamour, the style. I don't know what, the fashion of Milan. You never know what the future is going to hold. So I would say that, and I don't know if you're going to take my word for it. It's going to look different at every generational stage. So we just are going to have to hold on.
Right, saying that, Husni, right? So the way I see it is this. I've been a Milan supporter for over 40 years.
Yeah.
I've been through the banter era. I've been through the glory days. I've seen it all. I have watched some of our greatest players, some of our worst players. At no point whatsoever did I do anything other than feel extreme joy every time we won any game. Right, Husni? I felt emotion. I felt it all. But that stopped. It's gone. And it's not. And I'm telling you, we beat Napoli. That performance was, by an outsider, should be seen as heroic, right? To beat Napoli in the way we did with 10 men. I felt nothing. I felt no pleasure whatsoever. The only pleasure I felt was when Stupinian got a red card, because I was just finding it hilarious, right? So then, is it because I want these people out that I want to see it all collapse and around them so that they get the hell out of my club and things start to potentially fix themselves? Maybe, Husni, maybe that is the reason, right? I still feel anger against ownership, which means I have emotion, right? But what I'd say is, guys, just if you've got 7 minutes of time, just listen to the pod. It's on this same channel. I released it earlier on today, and just hear me out, and maybe leave a comment regarding how you see things. I just wanted to have this, to be honest, Husni, I wanted this discussion to be opened up, because I suspect really strongly that there are actually several people out there who unfortunately feel the same way I do. And that's really sad that we are in that situation, Husni. It shouldn't be ever. It should never, ever have happened in the first place. And I think Milanisti everywhere, just in my opinion, should be concerned that fans like me are so disillusioned that I no longer feel like I can say I feel any pleasure in watching Milan. That's crazy, isn't it, Husni? I think it's crazy.
Yeah, on several levels, I can empathize with you. So I remember the days, and it wasn't too long ago, where I would actually stay up to watch the games. I would set the alarm. I would stay up to watch the games. I wouldn't depend on any highlights. I wanted to see it live. I wanted to experience it live. But
yes,
So I just can't find it in me to do that anymore. I think many feel the same way. But say that I've completely stopped supporting the club. Maybe if I had to say it, I would say this version of the club. Yeah, it's a different level of support. It's a different sort of interest. It's more of, if I could put it into analogy, watching a TV series that you fell in love with, and then in one season they changed all the actors.
Fair, absolutely fair. Again, I'm not asking anybody to agree with me. That's I just want to make that clear, guys. I am not asking anybody to agree with me. At the end of the day, we're a Milanista 360. I am doing this because I like Husni, I like Shane, I like all of you, and we get along really well. And I genuinely feel like, because I still feel anger, I clearly still have Milanismo. Because I still take my time to do this, I still have Milanismo. But unfortunately, I have come to this realization. And actually, now that I've realized it, I felt I needed to kind of like put something out there so people could understand why I have reached this. And I think the conversation in every fan base would be really, really helpful to have, because I don't know where some people are getting all this enjoyment from, and I would love to understand it. I genuinely would. And Husni, today you gave me a little bit of an insight. You said maybe people that were born in the 2000s that don't have that memory are finding it somewhere else, and this is part of their memory creation. Okay, let's carry on the conversation. That's why I think this piece was really important today. And as I said, just give us a bit of a listen to that 7 minute, and let me know in the chat what you think. I'll still be here. I'm not going anywhere. That's the important thing to say. But I'm not going to say Forza Milan again.
Terroristas 360.
Say what again? Say what?
Find Labgorilla on Ferraristas 360. That's going to be the next time.
Mate, Husni, you know Formula One, and you know that it's in a very similar place to Milan. It's kind of scary.
No, I think Ferrari is even worse. If you ask me, Ferrari is in the worse.
Well, yeah, at least at the moment, Milan are top of the league. Oh my God, look who's here.
Yeah.
One of our brothers, another one of our brothers is here. Shanus McAnus is here. And Kim says, I can't wait for the international break. Forza Italia. Yes. And you know what? I used to say I hated the international break because it took me away from Milan. This was, the Scudetto winning season, Husni. That's exactly like you. I was like, I just want to see more Milan. Now, I actually am looking forward to Italy playing. I think the next game is Estonia, and then questionable whether the game against Israel will even go ahead, to be honest. They might need to find an alternative venue because Italy at the moment is not in a good place regarding what's going on, with the whole flotilla and several boats that came from Italy. Say what?
It's too late, is it? They're playing the qualifiers?
Yeah, they're playing. No. It's the group stages still, Husni.
Oh, but they're gonna play each other twice. Okay, I thought.
Yeah. So it's a group. So we've played them away. We beat them, I think 5-4. Estonia, we should destroy. I'm looking forward to Gattuso. Yeah, I guess I mentioned should be that Gabbia has been called up for Italy. Should be happy
Ricci.
about that. Richie as well, even though he's not playing.
I'm not sure. Sorry, I think I made a mistake. Someone with
Camarda's been called up for the under-23 Italy squad. So congratulations to him as well on that. And Lecce got their first win yesterday, by the way, of the season.
Yeah,
so Parma are absolute shambles. There's a lot of really poor teams at the moment because Lecce are shocking. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Any last words, Husni? Let me just stop the share so we can just have a conversation here. Is this going to work? Yes, it is. Any last words, Husni, on the Juve game tonight or anything else you'd like to say?
Nope. Yeah, just hoping that we win the Juve game and maybe at some point re-energize the Milanismo back through some other means. In the current state, maybe not, but there might be a way that we don't see coming. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Again, I don't want to bring a downer on things, but Forza Milanismo, and I'll be watching the Juve game. I'll say that much.
Well, I'll plug the channel a little bit. For those, again, if you want to join our WhatsApp group, to drop us a DM. We'll add you by the link. You can DM us on Instagram, on YouTube, TikTok, still on the account, and also on X, by the way. Thanks to Shane for enabling us to stream this also on X. So that's also another way that you can catch us.
Thank you very much, Shane. Enjoy your escargot.
Yeah.
Au revoir.
Okay, Forza Milan, everyone, and till next week.
Che comunque il calcio è imprevedibile e le cose non sono mai scontate, quindi è anche la bellezza, no, di questo sport.
Io rappresentavo per questa squadra, era quello che non mollava mai, quello che doveva fare stare sempre su il morale, ma io mi ci trovavo bene perché